2022, the financial press declared him finished. The obituaries were written. The autopsy was public. In 2024, he added $80 billion to his net worth in a single year. This is not a comeback story. A comeback implies you left the room. Mark Zuckerberg never left. He was just clearing the floor. Most people watched the Metaverse collapse and saw a failure. They saw a man chasing a fever dream. They were reading the wrong document. While the world was busy mocking the avatars, Zuckerberg was conducting a controlled demolition, not of his company, of his dependency. See, the average analyst tracks revenue. They track daily active users. These are lagging indicators, rear-view mirrors. We track something different. We track architecture. We track leverage. We track who owns the floor that every other player is standing on. When you run that filter over the last 3 years, the mass firings, the open source releases, the gold chains, the cage fights, a different picture materializes. Not a man in crisis, a sovereign restructuring his empire for a war the public didn't know had started. This is Empire Foundations. Today we dissect the blueprint of inevitability. To understand the vision, you must first understand the humiliation. Let us establish the real damage of 2022, not the emotional damage, the structural damage. Crisis 1 was visible. $15 billion a year, bleeding into a virtual world no one wanted to visit. That was the show. That was the distraction. Crisis 2 was existential. It operated beneath the surface. Apple's app tracking transparency update, a quiet software rollout. It didn't just cost Meta money, it amputated Meta's informational sovereignty. Overnight, the algorithmic targeting infrastructure Meta spent 15 years building went blind. The landlords, Cook at Apple, Pichai at Google, changed the lease terms. And Meta bled, because Meta was a tenant. Zuckerberg realized a bitter truth. Scale does not equal sovereignty. If you build your house on another man's land, you are never truly the master. He did not lobby. He did not plead. He initiated a liquidation. 20,000 employees, gone. The year of efficiency. The press called it cruel. The market called it brilliant. But those terms are too small. It was a compression of mass. He excised the bureaucratic insulation that slows a pivot. He stopped performing relatability. He went dark. He transitioned from a consumer tech CEO to a wartime general. The foundational insight was this: to compete with the infrastructure you cannot own, you must build infrastructure that makes the question of ownership irrelevant. Strategy at this level is rarely about winning a battle. It is about selecting the battlefield. Understand the AI landscape in 2023. OpenAI had GPT-4, closed, proprietary. Google had Gemini, closed. Both had built moats. Zuckerberg didn't try to climb their walls. He dropped a tactical nuke on the entire concept of a moat. The release of LLaMA, Meta's foundational AI model, offered to the world for free. It wasn't an act of generosity. It was a commoditization of his rival's core assets. When the model itself is free, the moat collapses. OpenAI's pricing power erodes. The baseline capability they were charging for became a public utility overnight. Zuckerberg didn't attack their revenue. He attacked the logic that justified their existence. Then came developer gravity. By making LLaMA the foundation of the global AI community, Meta became the gravitational center of the revolution. Zuckerberg transitioned from the social media guy to the man who provides the lungs for the entire AI industry. And he did it for a reason. Meta's advertising empire runs on AI targeting. The better the global research, the better Meta's internal targeting becomes. He is playing the game in public while winning it in private. Not a recovery, an installation. We must address the change in the man himself. The gold chains, the linen shirts, the MMA training, the Roman emperor hair. Amateur analysts called it a midlife crisis. They missed the signal. When a billionaire changes his uniform, he is sending intelligence. For a decade, Zuckerberg performed a character, the frictionless, non-threatening founder. The grey t-shirt was a uniform of strategic invisibility. I am not here to dominate you, I am here to connect you. That era is dead. The new aesthetic is formidable, physically imposing, uninterested in approval. It is a power declaration. He stopped performing accessibility because accessibility is no longer a requirement. In a post-antitrust world, the strategic requirement is authority. He is not trying to be your friend. He is trying to be unavoidable. The man who was lectured by senators who couldn't operate a Facebook account is gone. The man who replaced him is someone those same senators would think twice about confronting. This is brand architecture at the executive level, a psychological posture of war. Now we arrive at the final bet, the one that justifies every dollar spent on the Metaverse. Others are looking at the stars. Elon Musk is building rockets to reach Mars. They are fighting for outer space. Zuckerberg is fighting for inner space. The 2 inches of territory between your eyes and the physical world. The smartphone is a road owned by Apple and Google. Zuckerberg cannot buy that road, so he is building a replacement. The Ray-Ban Meta glasses are not a gadget. They are a market education tool. They are normalizing continuous ambient computing. Every person wearing them is being architecturally prepared. If Zuckerberg succeeds, Meta becomes the primary interface layer for reality. If the glasses replace the phone, Apple's iOS and Google's search become legacy tech, as strategically relevant as a fax machine. He will own the infrastructure between human consciousness and the digital world. Not an app, not a website. The very layer of reality through which information is processed. He has the data, he has the ecosystem, and most importantly, he has the institutional will to sustain a decade of losses, to ensure that when the platform shift happens, he holds the deed. This is the colonization of the human experience. Synthesize the architecture, the 2022 Liquidation, the open source AI Gambit, the aesthetic pivot. These are not separate decisions. They are a single foundational strategy, a response to the vulnerability of being a tenant. Zuckerberg is not building a social media company. He is building the operating system of human reality. By the time the rest of the world reaches that conclusion, by the time the analysts upgrade their models, the infrastructure will already be in place. The concrete will be dry. The lease has already been signed. And we are all becoming his tenants. The most dangerous empires are the ones you don't recognize until you're already inside them. Subscribe. And if this episode reframed the future for you, that's by design.